Our speaker today is Dr. Anas Al-Haji, an associate professor of economics within the Dickey College at Ohio Northern University. At present, Dr. Al-Haji is on a one-year leave of absence, serving in the capacity of chief economist for NGP Energy Capital Management Company of Dallas, Texas. Dr. Al-Haji was schooled as an undergraduate in Saudi Arabia in economics and law. He received both a master's degree and a doctorate in economics from the University of Oklahoma. He is recognized as an international expert in energy economics, particularly oil and gas. He has published over 500 articles and has made numerous professional presentations all over the world. He has consulted on oil and gas matters with individuals, corporations, and nations. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Anas Al-Haji.
It is a pleasure to be here. I do not like to stand still. I am a teacher by nature, so I would like to move around, and I hope they can get me. You have one? All right, thanks. Now? All right, thank you. Before I start, I would like to start with this picture. This is the picture of my grandparents when they got married. When my grandfather was 36, he was diagnosed with an illness, and doctors give him 6 months to live. 6 months. Ladies and gentlemen, here is my grandfather at his 100th birthday. They say that God created economists to make the weathermen look good because of all those wrong predictions. You may have heard it before that if you have 100 economists in the room, you get 100 opinions. Some of them said they said 101. But it seems like God created physicians to make economists look good. Physicians predicted that he would die when he was 36. He died when he was 105. 105. So 60, 70-year mistake? I mean, come on, we economists, we can have like, 1% off, 2% off, a couple of numbers off, but not 70 years. I learned a lot from my grandfather, and the reason why I brought up this picture because it is related to our presentation today. When he was 100 years old, he decided to write his memoir. And in his memoir, he said he witnessed 15 killings in his life, and he lived long enough to see every killer being killed. And the lesson from that, especially to business, is that the short run is different from the long run. Because if he died when he was 36, he would have seen the injustice in life, he would have seen people being killed, but he would not have seen killers being killed. But if you look at it in the long run, justice was done. And I start thinking this way, well, if I were to be 100, would I act the same way? Would I behave the same way? What decision I will make given this wisdom? And the idea is, in the oil market, when we analyze it, we have to distinguish between the short run and the long run. But before I move on and talk about speculation and oil prices, my grandfather is Syrian, and I was born in Syria. My grandmother is Italian. My grandfather is a Muslim. My grandmother is Catholic. My grandfather is an Arab. My grandmother is European. And if a Catholic and a Muslim can make it for 80 years of marriage, anyone can make it. That's another wisdom from his life, because if we really look at it this way, maybe life would be different. Again, I was born in Syria, and in Syria they speak Arabic. And the Arabic language, they don't have the letter P. So the first one here, they don't have that. They have the letter B. So when Arabs come to the United States, they have to think about it to have the right pronunciation. Is it B or is it P? So basically they start kind of thinking about it. What is it, B or P? So is she beautiful or pitiful? Do I park my car or do I bark my car? But as you know, they have republics in the Middle East, and they have presidents. That's with P. But because they cannot pronounce the P, so they have presidents, but they cannot pronounce it, so it's easier to call them dictators. So really, it's about the language. If you want democracies in those countries, maybe Dick Cheney should focus on the language instead of sending army to the Middle East. Because if you look at the other side, is it president or president? And is it Bush or Push? Anyway, since my grandfather is Syrian, my grandmother is Italian, I can claim to be half Italian, half Syrian. But given stereotyping by Fox News and HBO about Syrians, Arabs, and Italians, I am afraid to be labeled as half terrorist, half mafia. So I don't want it. If we look at oil prices in the last few years, and these are daily prices, by the way, that's with P, I have to think about it. You can see the trend that we've seen in recent years, that prices increase and then all of a sudden we have the sharp increase and then all of a sudden decline. And politicians in Washington and many around the nation, they thought that speculators basically played the market and made a lot of money out of this increase, and speculators caused the increase. The bottom line of my presentation today is this: speculators just rode the market. Speculators did not increase oil prices, and it is about market fundamentals. And if I say speculators have no role, I have, of course, to provide the evidence. And if I say that instead it's about fundamentals, I have to provide the evidence, and hopefully I can do this today. Of course, there are too many questions around oil prices. What is the role of declining dollar in the increase in oil prices? What is the role of speculators? What is the role of India? What is the role of China? What is the role of OPEC? What is the role of Saudi Arabia? We have too many questions. What is the role of Russia and Putin policies and the problems between Georgia and Russia? What is the role of Chavez? What is the role of Iran? The nuclear standoff, etc. We have all those questions. What their impact on oil prices? Let's go back to the wisdom of my grandfather. We have to make a distinction between the short run and the long run. The best way to understand this is this. In the short run, oil prices fluctuate around a certain mean. So they go up and down, but the mean or the average stays the same. That's the short run. But in the long run, the average itself goes up or down. And in this case, in the case of oil prices, it goes up only if market fundamentals change, where we have a massive increase in demand and we have decline in production capacity. There is no way that speculators can affect the trend and change the average. They can increase volatility, but the average will stay the same in this case. What is the role of the dollar? We've been hearing about it in the last few months, that the decrease in the value of the dollar increased speculation in the market and therefore prices went up. The fact is, there is no relationship between the value of the dollar and oil prices in the short run. The relationship is only in the long run.